We'll see.
Back for another one, man. Back for another one.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? So it's just two of us, me and Aaron. We're here to talk about a couple movies. Um, so Primer and Coherence. These films are both like really interesting. I feel like they're a good pair because they're both kind of like sci-fi, mind-bending, indie
Fucking
movies. Really confusing, and they both kind of like they're also kind of like horror adjacent. Definitely Coherence. I think people put that in the horror category. I think both of them are kind of they go there a little bit.
Coherence.
Um,
I'm glad you mentioned that because before we went live, I was gonna say, I was like, you know what, let me save something for the show. And that's one thing I was thinking about with Coherence, especially with like a lot of the repeated shit that was going on. Like when like you were just in here, you literally just said this to us. I
yeah,
don't know how long ago it was, but and I'm just like this. I could see this being a horror film, and I was just, I gotta, it's. I'm gonna put it to you like this for you, Ibrahim, and the viewers. It's definitely something. Both of these, I definitely have to watch again just to kind of get a better grasp. I'm sure this conversation will help a lot, but just to get a better grasp, because this isn't one of those films where you can, for me, these neither one of these films are one of those films where you can watch it one time and just boom, got everything. Like you have to go back. I'll say at least one other time, maybe even twice, to really kind of pick up on the shit. Which I do enjoy that about these type of films because it really makes you like it really makes you think, and like in a good way, in a good sense of, because
yeah,
there's plenty of films out there where you have no clue what's going on, and the movie's just fucking stupid. You're just like, what the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah.
But these, they just like grab your attention with all the wild shit going on, especially in Coherence, which I did like. Say, cat's out the bag. I like Coherence a little better,
Mhm, yeah.
but yeah, it was like the glow sticks. I didn't just from the cover alone. I remember when I seen the cover, I was like, "Oh, this is a fucking cool ass movie cover," and that the glow sticks were actually important
Yeah. Hmm.
was huge for me because I love when movies take just that little piece. It could be something as small as these glow sticks, let's say, that little piece, something that's cool like this, that glow, whatever, and they incorporate it throughout the movie. Here, little by little, it's not like, I mean, yes, they mention it, but it's not like right in your face, like, "Hey, here's my glow stick." It's like, I thought you left with the. How did you get the red glow sticks? And I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?"
Yeah, what the fuck is going on?
Mine was blown, yo. Mine was
Yeah,
fucking blown.
yeah, yeah. Why don't we start talking about Coherence? So what was your early rating for Coherence?
Let me think about this one. I'm gonna give it a solid 9.
Okay, it's good. Yeah, for me, it's like an eight. But I do really appreciate it. And the thing about both of these movies too is like, and again, so like the whole thing we're talking about here is Mumblecore, Mumblegor, which is this kind of it's like a subgenre of like independent film
Mm-hmm.
where it's really like an aesthetic kind of in terms of like how to make a film really. And the whole idea is like these are films that are made. Both of these films were made for very low budgets. Primer, that film was made for $7,000.
Really?
Yeah, it was made for $7,000, and basically the guy who made that film did almost everything. And it's pretty close with Coherence. I don't know exactly what the budget was.
That's
50,000.
50,000.
50,000. So like these movies cost nothing, but they're very good. They're very good.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's crazy because it makes you really think about it. Because I guess with both of them, they were kind of shot in one location for the most part. I mean, here and there was a couple different scenes, but for the most part, they're shot in one location, so that makes sense. Um, I I can see it, but I can't. And the reason why I say that is just because the way the storytelling and the way the acting and everything went out for both of these films was really good. It seemed like
Yeah.
the budget would have been bigger, and that just amazes me. Like
Yeah.
it really amazes me because I'm just thinking of just again getting the actors and actresses, getting the right producers, right director, all that stuff to be able to tell these stories and tell them well. That I'm just like, what the fuck? And then for you to tell me that $57,000 made these two films.
Yeah. It's crazy.
57,000 fucking dollars. That's a fucking brand new car now. And it depends on what
Yeah.
kind of car you get. Like that's not even like the top of the line brand new car anymore. That's not even a house anymore, people.
Yeah,
That's just that's
yeah,
salary for some people.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, so these films were done really, and like the coherence is just like a guy, and he knew a bunch of his friends were actors, so all those
Shit.
actors in the film were his friends, and they
That,
just went to his house and they shot this movie at his house.
okay, that see now that makes sense. That helps a fucking. It's like okay, look, I want to do this movie.
Yeah,
I'll shoot it in my house. I have friends that are actors. They need some acting credits. I need some producing credits, director credits, whatever. So let's do this.
let's
And
do it.
they did a good job though, because
Yeah,
it doesn't look like it would. I'm just going to use the Z Network crew, the ones that you know. It doesn't look like something that, and I'm not saying nobody's talented enough to do it, but it doesn't look like we just were like, yo, let's just do a movie. Here's $7,000. Let's just fucking throw some ideas together, and just kind of run with something instead of like really giving it like a deep discussion and really dive into it and make it serious. This was really good, and it
yeah,
shows how professional they were as far as being. This information is just killing me. But as far as them being friends, because it's like, okay, this is my friend's thing, and like, yeah, these
yeah.
are my friends. So I'm gonna make this story as simple as possible.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make these roles like boom, boom, make you guys really stand out. And they went in the opposite direction as far as simple as possible. But I'll say like when you're watching the film, you're just like, wow, like everybody's important in this film. Everybody's literally important in this film, and it's definitely a mind fuck,
It's a mind fuck, dude. Yeah,
which I
totally.
appreciate.
Yeah, yeah. So like in Coherence, basically the plot is like there's some dinner party, and while the party's happening, there's like a comet that's going over them. That's like a very rare occurrence.
Hmm.
And at some point, like one of the characters, she talks about this incident that happened somewhere else where the comet came over, and people were really confused, and they were talking about like some woman was like, oh well, this person isn't my husband because I killed my husband, but it
Yes.
was the exact same guy. And then this weird shit starts happening to them, like someone breaks a window or something. They start
Car
hearing these sounds.
windshield or some
Yeah,
shit.
it's like the windshield of a car. Yeah. And then they get this like box that has a bunch of pictures of them with numbers
On the
on it.
plane. Yes.
Yeah. And then weird shit gets weirder and weirder. They decide, okay, let's try and go across the street. And they go across the street like with the what is it, with the glow sticks that they have. And they see people on the other side of the street that look exactly like them,
Yes.
that have the opposing color glow sticks, that have red glow sticks instead of blue. And then it's like, what the fuck is going on? Who are those people? Is that us? Is that a different version of us? Because like they talk about like when they cross the street, there's this like void or something. There's this black area
Yeah.
that they go through, and that's like, I don't know, like when you cross that void, it's like you're crossing into like another dimension or something.
Hmm.
You know, it's like they sit at this intersection of like where all the different potential outcomes of what they're trying to do can happen. And the film talks about this idea of coherence and like the, I guess, what is it, the mini minds theory, something like that. Basically, the idea is, you know, they use the example of Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
Okay? So you got this cat in a box, and is the cat alive or dead? Well, quantum physics says it's both alive and dead until someone looks at it, and then it becomes one or the other. So they're almost in a state where there's chaos, there's flux. And so there's tons of themselves out there in this neighborhood trying to find their way back, and they can end up at a different alternate universe's house instead. So it's crazy. And then
Fucking nuts.
yeah, it's super nuts. And then what really starts to go crazy is like some people leave the house and they end up at a different house.
Yes.
They end up at a different house, and then they're like, oh, so what was your number? And then they like give, they tell the main character, the blonde girl, like, oh yeah, this is my number. This is my number. And then it's like the blonde girl and this other guy went to a different house, and she's like, dude, this isn't our house. We're somewhere else. We're like at the third different universe now. We've totally gone somewhere else. And the guy's like, we shouldn't leave. We should just stay here. There's nowhere else for us to go. We're stuck. And then he gets attacked by another version of himself. Another version of himself comes out of nowhere and just like kills himself, and then he leaves. It's like, what?
And you see why I was so freaking confused.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the hell? So I just found this. I was googling some shit.
Yeah. Yeah, this is another one that has all this.
Look at this.
Because then the main character, she talks about like, well, it's her or someone else. They talk about when you go through that void, where you come out is completely random. You could be anywhere. You could be anywhere, and there's no way to know if you come back to where you started or not.
That's such a fucking. That's such a fuck up. It's such a mind fuck, man. Because I feel like in that sense, as far as like not being the actor, but being the person that being that actual person in the movie. Just having that part explains to him like, what? Wait, what? You got to say this to me. Slow down. What? And then it confuses the viewers too. Well, me, I'll speak for myself. I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck? What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You wanted us to see this shit for a good reason. I think.
They both like have this kind of sci-fi mindfucky feel to both of these movies.
Yeah.
Which I think, and it's also like these like kind of really interesting theoretical, like kind of perspectives on these ideas, because they're both like tackling an idea and then like going crazy with it. Both of these films, and because it's like both of them, it's about like the human element of like what happens. So like if you introduce this randomness, okay, like whatever. Like if I walked out of my house today and then I walk back in, but I'm in an alternate reality, but nothing feels different, that maybe doesn't affect anything. But for these characters, because there's like this social thing about it, they're all super aware, and then it starts to take a dark turn. All these people are just like, well, wait, if this is different, can I not get back to my universe? And if I can't, then maybe I'm going to have to, kill my way back. Maybe I'm going to go back and I'm going to take someone's place. It's crazy.
Because you're basically, when you're taking someone's place, you're basically taking your own place.
Yeah.
I'm just, again, what the fuck?
It's fucking crazy, yeah. Yeah, and that's basically what happens at the end. So she decides, okay, I'm going to go back. But then she goes back to somewhere where she's now in the past. So she sees them at the party before anything bad has happened. And then she breaks the guy's window. And then she drugs herself. She drugs herself and basically tries to kill herself in a car. And then tries to assume her identity. Which is fucking crazy. To think that someone would do that to themselves.
Yeah, that sounds like... People forgive me for what I'm about to say. And don't blame me, Raheem, for what I'm about to say. It's not going to be like egregious, so don't worry about that.
The dragon has been born again.
But that's like that's like somebody doing that to blame their boyfriend. In real life. Like, all jokes aside, it's like someone like will drug themselves and then, you know what I mean, make it
sure.
Of whatever reason. And that's what you kind of got that feel a little bit, but that's not what it was, of course. And I'm just like, it just makes your mind just start firing off with different ideas that have trying to tie this in, but then also thinking of just other things that it could be that you haven't even seen in the story, and you're just making shit up. Like, what if it's boom, 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 and fucking completely wrong.
The other thing too is then it makes you question all this behavior you've seen before, and you wonder, like, when does the craziness start? When, like, at some point people leave the house then come back. At that, whenever anyone leaves the house, you have no idea who came back in.
True. Very true.
You have no idea who came back in. Like, there's another part earlier on where, like, one of the guys, his phone screen is cracked. And then the guy comes back and he's like, "Oh, can you show us your phone?" He's like, "Why do you want to see my phone? Why do you want to see my phone?" Just like, show us your phone. And his phone screen isn't cracked. So he's a totally different guy. He's a guy from another universe. Another guy. They're like, "No, your fucking phone was broken." It's like, "No, my phone hasn't been broken." And then they get into a fight because he's talking about fucking his wife or something.
I got a question for you. And this is, mind you, this is like very, very loose. Very loose, all right? Coherence. Us. Teensy weensy similarities. Just with the two different families, we could say.
You're talking about the Jordan Peele
Yeah.
movie? Oh, sure. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it does become a doppelganger kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And then when you were saying about like when somebody leaves, you don't know who comes back. But do you know who? Which is just fucking myself up even more. But it's like, so you know who left, but you don't know who's coming back. My thing is, do you know who left though? Because you never know if and when they've ever switched any other time.
You don't, yeah. So the only thing is, anytime someone like leaves, it's really when someone leaves the house. That's kind of the rule, because once they go through that void, then you get sent to another dimension, basically, and you don't know where you're gonna go. But
you always end up back in the house, right?
You do, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like imagine the street is just an infinite number of their house. That's the whole street, and you can end up anywhere. But it's all the same house, just infinite iterations of it, basically.
Yeah, it's just. I'm glad I watched it. This is definitely one of those films. Like even watching it from the trailer, because the trailer is just like, wow, confusion, but not like it's. Yeah. It wasn't bad, but it didn't really pull you in. Like I got to see this. But this is something you should definitely check out, because it's like, yo, once you watch it, you're gonna go, I gotta watch this again, because I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a mind fuck, and especially the stuff with like the numbers and the picture. Because then the other question is like, who took those pictures? Who took the picture? Who sent them the picture? Who sent them that box? Who did any of that? Mm-hmm. It was someone. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of because like that was actually from their universe. That was all there specific to them, but I guess it was someone from the future.
Here's the what we're talking about here, people.
There's probably a chart somewhere that explains it.
Oops, let me go back on. The numbers on the pictures. Five.
Yeah. Every person has a number, and then then she like looks, and some people have a different number. So, like in that example, okay. So in this example,
yeah,
everyone is from a different universe, from their own. Yeah. So I think it's like the person who's number 5 is in the right place.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Number 5.
Yeah, everyone else is from a different place. Everyone else.
That's fucked. That's fucked. So that's a whole. What is it, like 3 people? Maybe 4 if you count the 2 or 3 greens. That's rough. Yeah.
Well, it's like the number has to match. Right, that's what we're looking for.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So the number, I believe the first number is the number that they got when they opened that box, and everyone had a number assigned to them with their photo. That was the original thing that they said. And so the reason why they're doing this is that these numbers are random, right? So everyone has a random number associated to them. But because it's random, it's different in different universes. So even though these guys, I don't know if it's exactly the same. It's just like, what is that, Mike and Mike or whatever? It's like one Mike had a number 2, one Mike had a number 1. That means they're different people. That's how you identify them as different people.
Got it.
Right? So their mic had like the number 2.
Okay.
Then they go to this other place, and then that mic said, "Oh, I had number 1." They're different people,
Got it.
and that's how they're like, "Dude, we're in the wrong fucking universe." But it's too late. Like they can't get back to where they started, basically.
So, Ibrahim, my friend,
Yeah.
how did you find this movie? I'm going to ask you this on like every episode
How did I
because
find this movie?
it's very interesting how you find something like this.
Yeah, I found this movie. I kind of got down a rabbit hole into some movies that were like this, that were horror movies. There's another movie I really like called You're Next.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that movie, and so they're considered to be the same genre. So I think that's how
Okay. I'll have to
ended
throw
up
that
seeing
horror
them.
wheel. You're next.
Yeah, I love You're Next. Very similar feel and style, but more overt horror. You know, people get killed and shit. For
Yeah.
real.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's how it was kind of like. I just heard about this film actually. I'd heard good things about it, and is associating it with this like Mumblegor, which is the subgenre of horror of Mumblecore.
Mm-hmm.
I watched some films in that, and this was one of the films that I watched.
Okay. Makes sense. I'm just happy I'm happy I watched it. I'm definitely gonna watch this shit again because it's just.
It's a mind fuck, dude.
Yeah.
You have to like think about, because when you start thinking about all the implications of what it's trying to say, it just kind of blows your mind in a whole bunch of different ways. Really,
It does. It does. It
basically.
really does. This is definitely one of those movies where like, yo, I want to watch a movie where I can sit down and I have to actually think about what the fuck's going on. This is it.
Yeah.
This Coherence is your movie, and it is on Amazon Prime. People, you have to have Prime and go watch it. So this is
watch it for free.
I'll just say it's the easiest movie that Ibrahim sent us to find by far. It was right on Prime. Coherence, yeah. I'm gonna stick with my 9 though on this film.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my 8. I really like this film. I think it's very good. I think it's very rewatchable too.
Hell yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
it really
it's very rewatchable because, like, you know, then you just start looking for all the small details about everything.
And it's like, oh, how the fuck? You probably now you've seen it a few times, I'm guessing. So
Yeah.
For you, maybe you watched it and you're like, oh, how the fuck did I miss that? It's right there. How did I miss that?
There's a lot of stuff you start thinking about because, like, you start thinking about like when they first heard that. So like, there's at the beginning. They hear something happen, like the glass break, and then they go out, and then you start down. Okay, who was that did that?
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah.
Who did that? Who sent them the box? You know, all this shit just starts. You know, you just start thinking about all these different things. Yeah, and it's just like, shit. What the fuck?
Am I ever gonna figure this out?
What's going on? Maybe not. Maybe not. But I'll just think about it.
Yeah.
So
it was a good one though. It was a really good one.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man. Spinning this wheel.
Yeah.
Wheel time.
Yeah. Let's make sure the wheel is updated. It should be, but
yeah. If there is one on there that I forgot to take off, I'll take it off. But
okay. Yeah. No, it looks good. I think. Ooh, what is this? Oh shit. Okay.
Boy and the
Old Boy. Cool. Old Boy and the Handmaiden.
Oh, nice.
So I was surprised you guys hadn't seen Old Boy yet. So this is a chance to see Old Boy.
You know what, man? I'm happy we're watching this because you've been talking about this film for a while.
Yeah. No, Old Boy is it's really good. And it's very classic. It's got some good action in it. It's got some good violence. like it's violent. It doesn't hold back with the violence.
I'm not mad.
But it was like, because I feel like there was a similar thing that happened in the 2000s with Korean films. The Host was big. Old Boy. There's a couple others. And yeah, Old Boy was something I saw. I've seen it a while back. It would be good to see it again. They even did a remake, which is bad. Spike Lee directed a remake, which is not good.
Like, he did it?
Paycheck, get paid.
I guess.
Exactly.
Sometimes, you know what? I'll say this. It depends on the size of the check.
Dude, the check is probably pretty good. I mean, we're probably talking like at least $500,000 or probably more.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like,
so I don't blame him.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, we'll get to watch the original and like, you know, it's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really like have a big hang up about remakes, honestly. Like if they're bad, they're bad. Just don't watch them.
Yeah, I'm the same way as you. Like if they're good, sometimes there's some like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 was great. Loved it better. I actually liked it better than the original. That's me.
I mean, I like the Hills Have Eyes remake better than the original.
Same here. That was another one that I think
I really like that one. So some of them, yeah, some of them work, some of them don't. But like, yeah, especially with horror, they remake shit all the time, right?
Yeah,
like that's the whole fucking thing.
They really do a lot.
Remakes, reboots, or like whatever they're calling this whole thing now, where they do a sequel.
Yep.
To the original, like they cut out all the shit in the middle.
Yep. Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween, where they just like, oh, by the way, all these like 7, 8 other movies, they just like cut them out
from 2 and back.
Yeah,
including the remakes. They were just like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah, exactly. There's that Rob Zombie shit too.
Which you know what's funny is they could have kept part 2 in, even though part 2 had the perception of those two being siblings. Because in the remake, in the new sequel, they shut it down in 2018. Like when she was like, "That's not my uncle" or whatever. That's my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And left part 2 right in there.
Yeah, I feel like part 2 would have been, but I think the only thing I think it would have been easier if they did that, because then it ties up a whole bunch of shit that happened like right after, and then you know they did all like in the sequel they did all this like flashbacks to the time right after Michael falls out the window,
and they get him. So it's like you could have literally left part 2 in there.
Yeah, they could have left it in there, but I think they just they didn't like that. I mean, there are some things about it that are
actually
kind of
they could have left part 2 in there because part 2.
Well, oh yeah, because he dies, right? Like he's supposed to die
in a fire or some shit, right, or something.
Well, yeah. So like there's an explosion at the hospital, and Loomis blows himself up.
And then there was in a part 3 because they were going to start doing what they wanted to do was like the anthology type of thing where they do a new story every year, but it didn't happen, which is good. Yeah. I say it's good because Michael Myers wouldn't have been as iconic as he is right now, and it sucks because it's like what would have happened, what could have happened.
Yeah,
but it's something they can still do. Oh, you got to catch that. There's a flag though. Hopefully it's on Ohio State. Give us that first.
Okay, so let's talk about Primer.
Yes, sir.
So Primer is a film that I really like. I like Primer a lot. It's one of my favorite movies. Oh. My early rating for this is like a 9.
Okay.
It's such a mind fuck that I just love watching it. And like the first time I watched it and I watched it again, and I was like obsessed with figuring out what the fuck happened in this movie. I was obsessed with it because the thing about this film is, so it's about time travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these guys, so there's 4 guys, but then it comes down to like 2. These guys accidentally create a time machine. Now the time machine works in a specific kind of way. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up something real quick. So the time machine, the way it works is that it takes you back sort of like basically a set amount of time into the past. It's like 6 hours. 6 hours is what they say.
Mm-hmm.
So the way they figure this out is, so they make the machine, they put this sort of test thing into it, and it creates this buildup of bacteria that makes it seem like it's there for a longer amount of time than it is.
Yeah. And
then this one guy, Abe, he basically does an experiment with himself where he puts himself into the time machine. So basically he creates a time machine. This random fucking guy just creates a time machine. He creates this box that's going to take you back in time. He creates a timer for it. So you have to put yourself into the box. The timer goes off. It takes you back 6 hours. The timer goes back on. Then you exit the time machine. And this whole time when you're in the time machine, you have to have oxygen tank. So that you're totally separate from the world.
Mhm.
And then he shows his friend, like, oh, by the way, so I drove you to this place so that you can see what's about to happen. And he sees himself go into the storage facility where he's going to go into the time machine. So the other thing, too, is like now there's duplicates of a person in the same place at the same time because of the way that the time travel works.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so now so now they've invented time travel. They now they're like they have to figure out, is it real? What can we do with this? What are the implications? And so then they immediately use it for what anyone would use it for, to make money immediately, right?
Of course.
They start gambling, and they like there's a scene where they're like watching like basketball game or some shit, and the guy's like, oh shit, like I thought we were gonna win. Don't we win this game? It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna foul and then we'll shoot a three and we'll win. So they're doing the Biff strategy, straight up.
Fucking Biff.
Yeah, on the stock market, and calling up their bookie and shit like that. But they have to do specific things so that they don't interact with themselves to create duplicates of themselves in the timeline. So what they do is they purposely spend time isolated at a hotel, and they don't talk to anybody. That's basically one of the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that happens is they break that rule pretty quickly. Like the other guy, so what was it? It's Abe and Aaron. So Aaron brings his phone once, and he fucks up and he calls his wife or some shit like that. And so that kind of breaks things a little bit. And then later they shit goes full on bad. There's some scenario where they accidentally tell a third person, and then that third person uses the time machine to like go back in time. They have to fight this guy and then get him out of the loop. That was crazy. And then they also use the time machine to stop some guy from like some guy threatened their friend's wife with a shotgun, so they intervene to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
But the craziest thing that happens, and this is where things get really fucking crazy, is so this whole time we're watching this, we're like, okay, this is kind of interesting, but then things start getting a little weird. Like there's some small things that you don't notice at first that kind of later on make you realize, oh shit, this is something that's important that I didn't think of before. So there's two really big things that happen when they do time travel in this movie. The more you do it, the more it starts to physically affect them. So one of them is your ears start to bleed. And the second one is your handwriting deteriorates.
Oh, shit.
So there's a whole bunch of times where things like that start to happen, and you when you start thinking about it, then you start to pick up like, oh shit, like there's a scene where they were so they go in the time machine, and they're like on the computer looking at different stocks that are going to go up, and they're talking, and then Abe looks at Aaron, and he looks at his handwriting, and he's like writing really deliberately,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that he doesn't fuck up his handwriting, which basically means that he's already been in the time machine more times than he said he has.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the thing that really will fuck you up is that, so at some point, it's revealed that Abe set up a fail-safe time machine. So this time machine basically takes you to like the furthest point back in time than all the others.
Mm.
And then basically Aaron discovered that fail-safe time machine was set up because he looked at the manifest and he saw that, oh, Aaron had he rented out 2 units in this this storage facility. So he goes in there, he finds the failsafe, he goes into the failsafe time machine, and he goes all the way back in time to the beginning. So now he's at the very beginning of time. But what does he do when he goes all the way back in time? He runs through the whole thing, and then he records everything. He records all their conversations. Then he goes back in time again, and he plays out. So it's like knowing, you know, everything that's going to happen. You know what everyone's going to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts in an earpiece, and he listens to what they're going to say, and then he parrots what needs to be said to make sure everything happens the way he wants it to happen. So that's another thing. Every time you see him with an earpiece, that's another guy who's even further back in time. So it's some shit that just mind fucks you.
I got that shit again. I got that shit again. But
yeah,
I just want to throw my rating in for this. This one, we're basically flip flopped on these. This one was an 8 for me.
Yeah,
really good film. I just like Coherence a little bit better. But again, another fucking mind fuck of confusion where it's just like,
it's a super mind fuck.
How did we get there? And time travel. And what makes it funnier is because we're reviewing fucking Back to the Future later.
Yeah.
Randomly popped up for today. I'm like, what the fuck?
And the most interesting thing too is, so like, then they really start to break everything when they start to interact with themselves. So Aaron, what Aaron does is he drugs himself, and he sticks himself up in the attic, and then he assumes his own identity in the movie. And so there's now a duplicate of Aaron, like the second Aaron 2, is assuming the identity of the first Aaron to play out what happened in that time. So he's at that point, he's fucked up the timeline.
Yeah.
Totally. He's totally fucked up the timeline. But he's doing that, I don't know, for whatever reason. For something. And then it gets super crazy, and then at the end, basically, there's 2 versions of Aaron and there's 2 versions of Abe in the same time. And the version of Abe is trying to stop the 2 of them from inventing the time machine. And the other version of Aaron is just like, I'm going to capitalize on this as much as I can. And then at the end of the movie, he's making a giant time machine somewhere in another country. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's wild because it's like, this film here shows you so much about greed in like a way deeper way. A fucking deeper. Some people may have seen this film. I'm sure there's probably people who've seen this film may have not even thought of that. Not that it's like oh shit moment, but it just shows you about greed and like how people can just they can find something, create something that can be helpful, very beneficial for everybody. And they probably go into it like, hey, if we can do this, we can go back in time and maybe figure out, you know, how long this disease takes to go through the body before we can stop it. And each time we go back, we can learn something new. That way people don't have to, you know what I mean? And instead of doing that, it was like, okay, well, I can just go back and just make money. I can just keep making money, going, you know, doing whatever. Which you could either way, but it just shows you how greedy people really are at the end of the day. Like when they have that certain significant power, if you want to call it that, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I got this now. This is locked up. Don't worry about it.
That's really what happens too, because they become paranoid about each other, and there's a couple scenes where somebody drugs Abe at some point, puts him to sleep and takes him out. It might be himself. Sometimes that's the other thing too, because then there's these duplicates of themselves, and so a lot of the time they're taking themselves out. There's even like a scene where, it gets really crazy. So it's like the third version of Aaron tries to drug the second version of himself, but his second self is too strong. And so then they kind of talk each other down. And then the second version's like, okay, I'm just going to go back to what I was doing and you can do what you do. And the third version is the one that then goes to France. And then I think it's basically, there's a symmetry that has to happen in order for a person to exit the timeline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then the symmetry happens so that the second Aaron, I believe, is able to exit the timeline. So he's no longer a duplicate. But yeah, it's really fucking crazy.
That's an understatement.
what ends up happening. It's really crazy too that like all this stuff, like the plot is really really intricate in this film. But there's so much stuff that it's just so simple. It's so simple, and the way he tells the story is so simple that it's like it's really impressive how much I feel like in terms of the content,
Mm-hmm.
the content of stuff that happens in the story that's there is huge. Implications are huge, but it's really just very simply told the way it's done. It's not complicated at all.
I'll have to watch it again to
Yeah.
to make that decision for myself.
Yeah, why don't you throw up the chart? Throw up the chart.
But I see what you're saying with that, and it's here we go, some more confusion. This fucking chart. I apologize ahead of time, people.
Yeah, it's crazy. So on the left, it explains the events that happen, and it's color coded. So it's like, yeah, gray. We see this in the film. Blue. This is a flashback. Green. This happens later. Red. It's explained, but we don't see it. So as you see, the first thing there, Abe sets up the.
Not my fault.
Yeah, it's all right. Go up a little bit more. So this thing in red, so we don't see this, but like when they talk about the failsafe box, this actually becomes one of the first things that happens in the timeline. So Abe sets up the secret failsafe box 1, and that would allow him to undo anything that happens at a later point. He makes box 1. So box 1 is the box that they use to do the first time experiment with. He activates box 1. He spends 6 hours in a hotel. He returns to the storage facility and uses box 1 to travel back in time and creates timeline 2. So that's the first time they've created a loop. And then we go off. We go off from there.
Scroll down to the chart. It'll I gotta. And the chart's over here.
Yeah, the chart's on the right. Yeah.
You see this shit, people?
This is what's happening in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And then they add a little fucking orange and some dark blue.
Yeah, the orange is the other guy who somehow figures out about. So one of them told this guy. One of them told this guy about the time machine, and then he hops in the time machine himself and he starts fucking with them.
Look at this shit. Look how these fucking arrows move, man. Look at this.
Yeah.
Forward, back. Look at this way, this way, this way. It's just.
It's crazy.
Then,
but
what the fuck? And then this.
Yeah.
There's a question mark.
Yeah, we don't actually know how many timelines there are because they basically say that they, like that incident where the guy he comes with a fucking shotgun to assault their friend's girlfriend, something like that. They said that they try over and over and over again to stop that incident from happening. So we don't even know how many times they went into the time machine to do that.
I'm bumping this movie. They're both 9s for me. I bumped this one up to a 9.
Yeah. The thing about Primer is like once you really kind of understand what's like the big thing is like picking up all the subtle things about, you know, why is he wearing the earpiece? Is that what does that mean? Checking the stuff with the handwriting, the ears bleeding. Whose ears bleed first, and what does that mean? Does that mean that person's traveled in time more? Yeah, there's a bunch of shit that's really crazy. Like this movie, like for me, blew me away. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, what? Like what the fuck? Like I was totally blown away, and I was like, I just had to figure out what the hell was going on. What the hell was going on? Especially like where they end from where it starts. And like the thing I really like about it is, you know, these are just two random ass dudes, and they accidentally invent the most important technology ever. And, you know, what would happen with any random human being? Not good things.
At all.
Not good things. Yeah.
At all. And you can even give it to the purest person. They're going to start out good. Don't get me wrong, but I think the thing that's going to hit them, it's going to be when, more so when others find out. Once enough people find out. Like say, it's like, okay, 5 of your friends know, or your family members, whoever's close to you, those first 5 know. Then it's like, okay, another 5 know. Okay, so 10 people know. And then once that 15 hits, it's like, okay, now people are talking to other people about other people and this, that, and the third, and then it's just like, oh, you know how much money you can make off of this, and boom, and da da da. It just
Yeah.
becomes a vicious cycle.
I mean, that's one of the things that comes up in the movie. They're like, some kind of really bad thing happens. They're like, well, did you tell someone? It's like, no, who would I tell? Like, I wouldn't tell anyone. Well, would you tell someone in an emergency? And then he kind of hesitates. He's like, well, like, are you saying this is an emergency? No, I'm just saying, like, maybe I would. I don't know. Maybe I would. And yeah, all you have to do is tell one person, and then it's fucking over. It's over, because this is some dangerous ass shit.
Super.
And that's the funny thing is, like, greed is kind of the simplest and, like, probably like the least harmful thing, because you can do some really destructive things.
True. I mean,
with this technology.
But doesn't greed kind of lead towards that? Because if you think of greed, you want everything. You want to be the richest, and then after that, it's like, okay, I have money now. I want the power. Like, I want to control everybody. And that's why I feel like greed is like up there. But I do get what you're saying. Like, once you get to that vicious shit of like, okay, I can do this. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Literally do whatever the fuck I want, and then just act like nothing happened. Whatever. Go back to the past. And figure out a way. Okay, so this is me 6 hours ago that did this crime. Okay, here's how I fucked up. Let me do it. Let me correct it this next time. Let me get it. Let me perfect this shit, which is some wild shit. What the fuck? What the fuck? And again, you could say the same thing about people doing good, but like you said, eventually someone will get corrupted. Eventually, once it gets out to it, even if it's not you, once it gets out to that next person, that's another just high chance of, something being corrupted again. And it might not be their fault. They can be manipulated, whatever, financially or whatever. And it's going to be like, boom, fuck, I got to do this.
And you really can't control, so like, even in this story, they tell basically one other person figures out what they can do with the time machine, and it fucks everything up. Like, they have to do all these machinations to undo what happened from one guy.
Oh, we're getting this over here now.
We're getting spammed.
Great. Got this on Horror Surf 30 and Popcorn and Pints.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's paying attention.
Yeah. So like, it's really dangerous, the technology.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous, and like it totally can very easily lead to total annihilation. And that's why at the end Abe is like, I'm going to try and stop us from inventing it. I'm just going to stop it from happening. Yeah.
I mean, you almost have to, but it's like, are you going to be successful?
I mean, the answer is no.
And then,
I mean, the technology's out there. Like at the end, Aaron is going to create a gigantic time machine.
I was going to say that. Just again, that's with that other person knowing, yes, you can go back in time, but they could be thinking the same thing too. Like, I'm going to go back in time. I know how to do this. Let me go back in time and make this now. So whatever he does, he's not going to fuck it up for me. And yeah, it's.
Yeah, that's what I really.
Some shit you had to keep to yourself. That's what this movie's telling you. Don't tell nobody.
Yeah, basically. I mean, he tried. Like, Abe tried. He set up that failsafe, and the problem was that Aaron found it out, and then he was the first one to use it. Basically, I'm pretty sure he was the one who used it. And then when he uses the failsafe, he goes all the way back in time, and now he's the one. He's the one who's fucking with the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron notices the manifest of 2 rooms. He discovers failsafe box 1. Then travels back in time with failsafe box 1 that was created. This creates timeline 4. From this point on, Aaron begins to record audio of the day's events. It's fucking crazy. So like Aaron is the problem, honestly, I think, in this situation, because he was the one who immediately was like, oh, I need to be the top dog in this shit. You know what I'm saying? He's the one. And then this motherfucker records everything. He records everything that's said. And he's like a puppet master, making everything happen the way he wants it to happen.
He's smart.
Yeah.
He's fucking smart as hell. And you know what's crazy is there's always that one guy, whether it be in a gang or whatever those, whatever, the top guy, just really fucking intelligent. I'm like, yo, you could save the world with this intelligence, but you're literally choosing not to.
To
Like,
destroy, yeah.
yeah. Just again for that power. So it's like you're literally like, look, okay, I can save the world and do great things and still have the same fortune and fame, probably even more fame and love, because nobody's really gonna fear me. You're still gonna have your haters, of course, but so many people are gonna love me and want me to be around because I'm helping so many people. And these guys are just like, you know what? That's a terrible idea. I'm gonna just fuck shit up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be greedy and I'm gonna
And evil.
take everything. Yeah. I'm gonna be greedy and evil. I'm gonna take all that shit and I'm going to, try and be the top dog. Cause like, it's really just the two of them. Like the two of them are the only ones that know about it. And if something gets, if one of the two of them fucks it up, then they're the ones. And that's the other thing. Like it's such a human nature thing. Like when you find this, it's like when someone discovers that massive thing of gold. You're out doing a gold rush, and then you're like, oh shit, I found a mine full of gold.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, I don't want to tell anybody because I want all the gold. So then they're just like, well, I'll just push this guy off a cliff and it's all mine. It's the greed, man. That's the human thing.
And it eventually kills you. And you find this out in a lot of different genres of film, just because we watched from the horror show all the way on to every other show we have on the network and what you do. Greed, there's a lot of greed in every genre, and it may end more drastic, like, of course, in like a horror movie, it's going to end violent and bloody, and a romantic comedy or a romance movie might end up with these two separated or whatever, but it always ends up the same as far as like just something horrible, horrific, like what the fuck? Like the worst thing that can happen in that situation happens because of the greed.
Yeah, totally.
And when it comes to finances, it's always death. It's always like dead or broke. Mm-hmm. One or the other. Dead or broke. Mm-hmm. Maybe prison. And people still don't learn from... I love it, though. I love it. Because it makes it... Crazy. Again, with this movie, it makes it more realistic, because it's like, okay, like we said earlier, again, not everybody's going to be pure and try to really help. There's going to be... If it gets into the wrong hands, they're going to fuck shit up. And be all about them. And I think that's what I respected about both characters, is they were like themselves through and through, and you kind of got to see who they were more and more throughout this film if you kind of really pay attention to those little things about what they do through the movie. I'm like, oh, fuck. So that part I get. But now I gotta watch it again.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. But like what I really like about it is that he really underscores, basically this whole story is about two people who randomly discover the most important technology ever. And because of that, they act in ways that are selfish and greedy and short-sighted. And that has different implications for the rest of themselves and the world, really, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of interesting, like how, because like if you look through this timeline, basically, again, what happens is once Aaron figures out that there's that other box, he starts to like, it fucks him up, and he starts doing erratic shit immediately. And he does things that have permanent, unalterable consequences. Immediately.
He knows what he's fucking doing, though, man.
Yeah. But he just doesn't care, because he's like, oh, I need to do, because like it's that thing, right? It's like, I need to do this before someone else does.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, of course someone else would do it, right? So I got to do it first.
I was just about to say exactly. That's exactly what the fuck it is. Just because you mentioned this time, I just have to go back to this confusing shit again. Like, look at this, people. This is just...
This is crazy. So I was just reading this. So this is like the fourth iteration of day one. So Aaron exits failsafe box 1 along with box 2. He then moves box 2 into another storage room. So basically, once he sees the failsafe box, he uses it, he then creates his own failsafe box, which is failsafe box 2. So he like greedily fucks over the other guy so that he can be the one who can always go furthest back in time. Immediately. That's what he does. Okay. So once he does that, he then resets failsafe box 1, which closes his loop. This means that from this point on, there are now 2 Aarons in the world permanently. So he just fucked up the timeline. So now there's multiples of himself permanently, because he's so greedy that he needed to capitalize on this before the other person did.
Yeah.
So he's already fucked up the timeline. Yeah. So blah blah blah.
He fucked it up bad too. Like he fucked it up. There's rules if you watch. Just they may differ here and there, but there's basic rules when you watch anything from The Flash to any of these Back to the Future, any of these timeline movies. Like, listen, whatever you do, don't do this. And Arrow's just like, fuck it, I'm doing everything that you told me not to do, and then I'm doing more. And he that shit.
Yeah, he fucked. And then the next thing Aaron does, Aaron goes to his own house and injects sedative into a bottle of milk that he knows that he's going to eat for breakfast. So then he drugs himself, and then Aaron too hides himself in the attic and assumes his identity. So this is all the shit. Like, this shit fucked everything up, basically. And again, it's that grief that, oh shit, I have to do this, because if I don't, he's gonna do it to me. And then it's like, oh shit. So then he goes home. He's like, oh, I gotta go see my wife. Oh shit. Oh, what did I do? Now there's multiple of me? What am I going to do? Well, I'll just drug myself and I'll put myself in the attic and I'll assume my identity, because I know what's going to happen. And it's still me.
Fucking crazy, man.
So he does this one thing and he fucks up everything. And then the rest is just like, it's just grabbing as much as you can. Get as much as you can out of it as quickly as possible.
And he did that.
He did, and that's why in the end he's the one who's like rich and powerful, or at least that's sort of the implication. He's gonna capitalize on the technology.
Yeah, definitely.
That's his motivation, pretty much. Whereas Abe is like a little more cautious about it, because he's the one who kind of really figures it out, and so he has a little bit more, I guess, reticence, and he has a bit more. Like, he respects it. He respects the technology a little bit more.
I'd say a lot more.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely a lot more cautious. Aaron's just like, look, man, I don't give a fuck.
He does not give a fuck. And again, that's the thing where he fucked up with the cell phone. He brought the cell phone back into the time machine. He that fucked up the timeline. That's another thing that fucked it up. It fucked up the symmetry where a person always has to exit. So there's only one person on the timeline. But yeah, he fucks everything up big time. Big time.
That's a nice run right there. It's nice. But yeah, he fucked it up to the point, again, he just didn't listen to any of the fucking rules.
No, he didn't. He really didn't.
Any of the fucking rules. Like, he didn't even try to. Didn't even try to.
He just got, and again, this is why I think this film is so effective. It's like, it's very accurate. It's very accurate to what people do, because yeah, once someone's like starts to fuck up, they just keep going, They
don't care.
Yeah, they no longer are like, oh, I fucked up, maybe I should think about what I did. No, they're just like, nah, man, I'm going to keep going.
Usually with things like that too, it's touchdown. It's when people fuck up like on a level way up out of sight and they get caught, then they don't care if they fuck up anymore, versus like if you're like in the middle or lower, you're like, maybe I should kind of change a little bit. But once you get up here, you're like, I already got the money, I already got the power, I already know how I can get back up here, so fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it.
And I know this is a little different, but then there's the people who are like, oh wow, he's just like me because he fucks up just like I do. It's like, no, this guy fucking buys hookers and spends our tax dollars on this shit. And you know what I mean? It's like, you're not fucking Rambo because you argued with your wife yesterday. and fucking had her put the peanut butter back in the cabinet that you said that you took out and forgot you took out or whatever.
Yeah.
That's it's you're not the same. It's funny how that shit works with that though, man.
Yeah,
But like
it's ridiculous.
it's and what makes this even crazier for me is these movies can be combined. Like this is another separate film, just like the war ones last week, where you can put them almost as one film somehow. Like this can be the reason why.
Why the coherence should happen? Like why things
Yes,
got fucked up.
exactly
The
because of
timeline.
this, because of Aaron fucking shit up, and boom, then you have it. And it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? That's all I'm thinking is, what the fuck? I gotta watch both of these films again. Great films. They did confuse me. Like I said, I want to watch them again. The conversation did help a ton.
Yeah.
There's something that's just like, I want to see it. And again, going back to coherence being, all you need was some blood and gore, and that's a horror film.
Yeah.
Some deaths. You need some sort of death or just something. Even if you made it slasher or like a paranormal type, you just needed that something, and boom, it's right there. Horror.
Especially at the end when she like attacks herself and drugs herself and tries to kill herself. Like when she's in the bathroom and she's dying, she fucking takes the thing off the toilet and like bashes her in the head with it.
Yep.
I mean that's a definite horror moment for sure.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So
but,
cool.
Back to my ratings for this. I'm gonna stick with my 9 for both films because I thought they were both excellent films. And again, man, the worst rating so far is a 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad at all.
I'm definitely excited to see you guys what you have to say about Old Boy. I think The Handmaidens is also very, very good. Old Boy became more of a like pop culture thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like both these films.
I don't know what it is about Old Boy, but when I was making the wheel, when I see there's just that the fucking
the poster.
Thank you. The movie poster just grabbed me. I was like, I'm just like, I'm gonna really enjoy this fucking film.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one.
I'm gonna really enjoy this fucking film. That's all I was thinking. I'm like, I can't wait to watch it. So I'm glad it's kind of between that and then you mentioning it a lot. Like, yo, have you guys seen Old Boy? I can't wait for you guys. You said it multiple times as well. I can't wait for you guys to see Old Boy. I can't wait for it to fucking be picked on the wheel or whatever. And now look, James, don't miss this one.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll be there for it.
He will.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, he will be. I wish he got a chance to watch these. I hope he does get a chance to watch these because I want to hear what he has to say about these two films.
They're also both pretty short. I mean, Primer is like 80 minutes. It's like 86 minutes or something like that. It's very short. Very short.
Or like regular movie lengths, honestly. Regular movie lengths for the most part. And then last week is when you really surprised me. This weekend wasn't a surprise at the movie lengths. But especially the way the stories were told, because if these were 3-hour films with the fucking way these stories were told, I would have been fucking lost for. Oh my god! Yeah. I would be like, yo, Ibrahim, I don't know what the fuck to even say. Do you?
Yeah, and it didn't need to be 3 hours. Which was nice.
It didn't. Because you got it for both films. You got enough out of the characters that they focused on. Of course, with Primer, it was more so 2 characters. But then with Coherence, just the house. But it was still easy to focus on that because it was just the house, basically just that fucking room around the table or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, who's this coming in? Like, oh, okay, I got it. But yeah, I recommend them both. Highly recommend them both.
Cool. All right. I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Boom.
They get the the sturdy stamp of approval.
Actually.
Excellent. So we'll see you guys next week. And yeah, we'll talk about Old Boy and The Handmaiden. That's going to be really exciting. I think those films are... I think you guys are going to really like Old Boy.
Nice. But real quick, people, make sure you guys tune in and check out Horror with Search 30 every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Also tonight, live, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, we're doing Popcorn and Pints. And I'll show you guys in a minute what movie we're doing as soon as I'm done with this. So make sure you tune in for that, Popcorn and Pints. wherever you're watching this, you'll be able to see Popcorn and Pints. Wherever you're watching this, besides Twitter and YouTube channels, I'll say you'll be able to watch Horror with Sirs 30. Make sure you guys tune in for this. You're gonna really fucking enjoy it. 9 o'clock Eastern time. Make sure you check out Stories from a Bar, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you can listen to the podcast, Instagram, Twitter. Go follow that. You're gonna enjoy that. Deep Focus Cinema. You get a deep dive on cinema. Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can check out Deep Focus Cinema. And just again, next week, we didn't figure out a time yet. It'll be between 2 and 2:30 Eastern time. Old Boy, The Handmaid, sorry, for the cinematic canon. Tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern time, we're doing Back to the Future and Wayne's World. And then on Tuesday, Horror with Our Story, Hostile Takeover. So yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you guys tune in. This is the end of the whole Thanksgiving thing for November.
Okay, cool.
And the next wheel comes into play. But yeah, tune in, guys. Thank you guys for watching and listening, all that great stuff. Don't be shy in the comments. Have a great night. And this is the Cinematic Canon.
Peace out.